another video here. This will be a follow-up. I'm going to recap the fish eagle and tie a few more things in here. So the fish eagle, we can envision this. Here, let's get some light. We can envision this, the tornado principle, and this is the eagle, and this is the school of fish, and the eagle is mesmerizing the fish. So the eagle starts in very wide circles, high in the atmosphere, and the fish are deep in the lake. And what happens here? Perhaps the shadow of the eagle, the shadow of the eagle cast upon the water mesmerizes the fish, and the fish are almost hypnotically drawn upwards. And what happens here? This is the article, "The Fish Eagle" from Nature as Teacher, and I highly recommend reading the articles. So I don't know why I'm flipping through there. You have to keep this article in mind. It's important to do some of the reading material to understand what I'm speaking about. It's kind of hard for me to read all that material and then cover all of this ground as well. But what happens here is really what we see here is, in the tornado principle, the catching of the fish, and this natural generative principle, which gives rise to, here on Earth, this crash. Well, this is chaos, but this is also in nature, in a mechanical system, so to speak. This chaos, this catching of the fish, this live meal, can we can imagine this as occurring within the pipe wall, and this being a process which repeats in cycles. And every time the fish is caught, the eagle flies away, and there is an ennoblement of the eagle, and there's an ennoblement of the school of fish, in the sense that perhaps this is where the natural selection process comes into play. The way I sort of see this now is in this world, this natural world, there's a superabundance. And really, as Victor Schauberger said, every animal has its favorite dish. Every animal has its favorite dish. And perhaps we are also the living meal of higher animals. And I don't know, this could be viewed as a negative thing, or this could be viewed as a relationship. Now that sounds kind of strange, because that almost sounds like a codependent relationship. That's the psychology now, and codependency, and the question of, well, speaking individually here, I do not exist without Mother Earth. No, none of us exist without Mother Earth. So speaking for myself here, I have relationships without, and what I would call a transverse psychology. That would be a transverse psychology, and then the longitudinal psychology, the axis, the connection, the we, the sharing, the balancing principle, which centers individuality. This centers individuality, and the top, the consciousness, the waters of mind and heart spin true and free. And where am I going with this? So the fish eagle, there's a principle explained in the fish eagle. And how does that relate to psychology? Is this How is this a healthy relationship here with Mother Earth? Well, this relationship is healthy when this spiritual connection becomes the foundation of the material connection. And when this becomes the foundation of the material connection, that is to say, one begins to treat water, blood of the earth as partner and sharing, and in a psychology that is centered in that understanding, the expressions from within oneself out into the horizon, well, they will be healthy as well. So this is a question of ennobling Mother Earth, ennobling Mother, Father, and ennobling ourselves, and a question of patient and caretaker and patient, because this is a mutual reciprocity here. And we are, what's the goal? What's the goal? We can look into this word etymologically, and I can think poetically here that are we the goaltenders, or are we the gale tenders? Because you look into the old word there, a gale tender, a gale tender to meaning her elements, her feelings, gale, her winds, her waters, her earths, her clays, her fires, her soul, the gale tenders. When this is the spiritual thinking. This is the one octave higher, and then this is the one octave lower, and this is the goaltender. This is the arms and the catcher and the blocker, so to speak. But here, as gardeners, soul gardeners, tending to Mother Earth's tissue, her blood of Earth, we can do a little time travel back to Egypt and look at the Ankh, and now how I see this here, a handle, and here, open, you see the blue color, open, such that, and this is poorly drawn but should illustrate, here's the Ankh, we have water, and we're going to move the Ankh through the water. So we're looking longitudinally, and what's going to happen is 3 vortices will be generated. There'll be a central Lemenier vortice generated through the head, and 2 counter-rotating vortices generated by the arms. And what happens here is we have the mixing, the blending of water in the most primal of ways, because these tools were probably made with clays and wood originally. And really, I think this is where the whole question of all meaning is an angle, and the way in which water is shaped. The angle, we think about angles like from a point outwards, right? We think about angles this way. So, and we can think now a little bit poetically that, one might say, what's your angle, right? So now when we're thinking about angle in this sense, and what is really our angle, our goal here? Sorry about that wire being there. What is our angle, our goal here as the crown of creation, human beings, is to be the gale tenders, to have the angle of what's your angle? Well, the angle, Mother Nature's angle is to love us and care for us, which should be obvious because of what is, she is the artist. She creates everything that we cook. Okay, and this we can get into evolution and lots of other things here. Maybe I'll make a separate video on that. But here, what the Egyptians recognized, all meaning is an angle, was their responsibility to be the tenders to her feelings, her tissue, her blood, and to express this tissue, this blood, in such a way that there is a mixing and an emulsification, because this is how nature exercises. This is like a water workout. This tool here. A water workout to grow water. Water, to move water from thin to jelly, right? We think cooking-wise, like creaming or buttering cream. Land of milk and honey. So, Gale tenders. Tenders. These are just modes of thought, I suppose. Do we angle in or do we angle out? The angle in is the life generating principle, is learning how to basically how to grow and nourish the tree of life through cycloid spiral space curve motion. Excuse me. So I think what I'll do here is I'm going to read some Schauberger. Organic synthesis. Process an experiment for carrying out organic synthesis with the aid of droppable liquids or gaseous elements. So here in this article, it's quite short. Maybe this will be 5-10 minutes. Today's technically minded people have already divorced themselves so thoroughly from nature that they are simply incapable of understanding the terms organic synthesis and plasmoidic forces. So in the last video, at the very end, I read this footnote. Plasmoidic, Collins English Dictionary, describes plasmosis as the shrinkage of a protoplasm away from the cell walls that occurs as a result of excess water loss, especially in plant cells. The implications here in Victor Schauberger's use of it is that it refers to a form of motion that withdraws or elongates the moved media, earth, air, or water, from contact with the conducting wall surfaces. This reduces all resistance, friction, and heat-producing processes to a minimum. In addition, it also withdraws the media into itself. So I'm just gonna stop there. And the Ankh and the double spiral flow pipe, these are functionally identical. And they are ways of thinking about all meaning as an angle. And here, the idea is that no water, no life. If no water, no life. And no life, no meaning. So no life, no meaning, no moving water in the tripartite cycloid spiral, no mixing, no cooking, bioecotechnological life, entropic decline. So plasmoidic forces here, this is what is being generated within this type of double spiral flow motion. The clockwise and counterclockwise resistance here increasing by the square of the velocity now, where now the mass can be accelerated to the speed of light within this system. So going back now to the plasmoidic forces, this reduces all resistance, friction, and heat-producing processes to a minimum. In addition, it also withdraws the media unto itself, thus concentrating its molecules into an increasingly smaller volume. This internalizing process also extends to the withdrawal of the energies themselves from the walls, as it were, in the confining molecules, leading to their implosion, a reversion to an atomic state, and a super concentration of pure energy. So the end result of this is a biological vacuum, and the phenomenon that Victor Schauberger referred to as the compression of dematerialization. Instead of being a void in the usual sense of the word, the biological vacuum is actually a superordinate state of extraordinarily high potency. So extraordinarily high potency, biological vacuum, superordinate state of extremely high potency. And I believe what the Egyptians understood, they understood this principle, the life principle, which Victor Schauberger also shows us. And here, this withdrawal from the pipe wall surface is occurring because the biological vacuum, the temperature gradient approaching 4 degrees Celsius is like a contracting elastic band that is pulling the whole circulating media from the pipe wall, such that the media, the blood, the tissue, is moving plasmoidically now. And this is the motion generating form and the form generating motion and the motion generating form, which gives rise to life. This is this principle here of the eternal centripedance and centrifugance cycle, the longitudinal and the transverse, and the reciprocation between the longitudinal and the transverse. And later I'll get into some analogies here, because we can use some very sort of practical real world analogies to illustrate how this biomagnetic axis and this bioelectric axis, the longitudinal and the transverse, how this dance takes place between these two, and how there's a buildup each cycle to a maximal point, to an omega point, and that omega point becomes the alpha, the beginning, the Anubis, the snake eating his own tail. So continuing now, plasmoidic forces, we can, imagine the idea of a plasmoidic force now as the media within the double spiral flow pipe contracting from the staff, right? The media is freed from the staff to flow plasmoidic. For the reason, the following elaborations are necessary as data for the latter practical demonstrations. Otherwise, nobody would be able to understand how to build up the necessary devices and equipment. So this is what we're trying to do, understand how to build these devices. Repulsine, repulsator, repulse. To repulse, right? This is the eternal centrifugal cycle. To pulse, and repulse, and pulse, and repulse. Within a machine, this is the pulsation of the blood of Earth, which is the allure of water, her waves, her pulsing, her always working. So to build the necessary devices and equipment, the same situation would then arise as it occurred with contemporary methods of generating electricity, already carried out on a large scale without anyone knowing the concept of what electricity really means. Because of this, no one is aware of the ultimate after effects of this force, which in resistance creates heat, and this energetic form conduces decomposition. We have therefore set out on a journey whose end and final outcome we cannot know. So this is the whole idea of only using the pressural combustion aspect in nature, and how it leads to This is why we have the law of entropy, because this flowing plasmoidic force here, well, this is the next level of technology. This is in the technological evolution of things. In the technological evolution of things, this is tribal, self-conscious, objective, creative genius, Christ, religious, and the end. So here, thinking technologically, our technology is in objectivity, in the realm of objectivity. So this is where both polarities, the left and the right, are finding, a way to really rally in the game of tennis, because in nature is really sort of, this is a build-up tennis match here, right? This is a reciprocation within a machine, and we are looking to build this to really get a rally going within the pulsation of water. In contrast to the degenerative decomposive electricity, bioelectricity generates fresh, renewed life, growth. So this is what I was referring to as this almost being like the tree of life, insofar as we are generating fresh growth. And I'm just going to get one other book here. We can see the tree of life in this book, Celtic Lunar Zodiac. Here. A different illustration of the tree of life is usually seen. But here's here and here we can see another way to color the work, in a sense, and to understand from another point of view. This is an excellent book, Celtic Lunar Zodiac, Moon Signs. Excuse me. I've been speaking a lot now. So here and here, well, we can talk about this and make I can make a whole tangent on this. I just pulled this out, like, I've not scripted or... So in the Celtic Lunar Zodiac, each sign corresponds to a particular stage of the waxing and waning moon cycle, as well as trees, plants, and gemstones. And I'm not gonna go too far here, other than to say that this here we're talking about how do we move the tree of life within a bioecotechnological machine. And this, we're talking about learning how to work with nature. And this is the drop of water, the 25 million kilowatt hours. And here's Mother Nature and her warmth and her coldness, the duality. Okay, so I'm not going to go too far on that tangent. Excuse me. So speaking of the decomposive energy, the bioelectricity generates the fresh, renewed life or growth. We are therefore concerned with extreme differences with equipment and appliances which transform the organic remains of life into a biocurrent. It is a process akin to the way that a plant, fruits, grapes, and a tart apple or a cancerous acidic pear can be transformed into spirit, alcohol. So now here, as I was saying previously, we can think about cold fermentation and the generation of spirit, right? The spiritus, and perhaps this is where, again, the secularized metaphysics of religion has, taken these ideas. This is sort of the root, the source of these ideas. This arises through the varying temperatures active in a process of fermentation. The reorganization of and higher synthesis of the residues of human, animal, and vegetable life depend on causes opposite to those that trigger such high-grade decomposive processes. Expressed more accurately, they depend on the metaphysical processes of further development. These are inexplicable in terms of concepts and outlook. So it's quite hard, yes. Broadly speaking, what needs to be addressed here is a practical, implementable process of atomic transformation, not fission. Atomic transformation, not fission, with the aid of the life current or biocurrent generating biomotors. With these, growth can not only be increased at will, but a wide variety of machines and motive power can also be produced for virtually nothing. In this new world, shortages of food will be a thing of the terrible and grisly past. Energy will be free, and there will be no commercially exploitable value. Today, this train of thought would appear utopian. All the more so because it is exceedingly difficult to differentiate contemporary concepts from those required here, for which there are no technical terms. Therefore, modern and frequently inappropriate terminology will have to be used. By placing them between quotation marks, a different sense of the meaning is intended. Okay, so here, the way of explaining things, this is why I'm kind of, anyone who's been listening, why I'm talking about skiing, excuse me. I'm talking about skiing and the Ankh, and relating a bunch of different literature, and also what I'm also trying to do for myself here is to conceptualize, and to a degree this is somewhat pointless because really what I should be doing right now is building the machine, but something still tells me to just continue to sit and understand, really understand this centripedance and centrifusion cycle. And this is really the atomic transformation cycle. And here we're looking at a wave, and here we're looking at a cross-section of the wave. And this is a dance, this is a longitudinal dance. And the longitudinal dance has a centripetal and a centrifugal component. And the transverse dance has a centripetal and a centrifugal component. And when the centripetal longitudinal component in the dance is minimal, and this longitudinal component is at its maximal centrifugal expansion, the transverse component is at maximum centrifugal condition and minimum centripetal condition. So this is the beginning of the dance. And at a later point, I'm not going to do now because I will sort of fall, so to speak. I will relate this to, for example, the path of a skier and the some Russell work and his waves, because I do think this can all be woven together. So this is the beginning of the cycle. And what happens here, we're a figure skater here. We're in a twirl, okay? And this is the beginning of the twirl here. The arms are fully extended. And now here our arms are our transverse bioelectric axis. They are fully extended. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw our arms in. And as we're spinning here, counterclockwise, and here in this analogy, our arms also spin. And we have four arms. So here we have four arms We're a ballerina, a figure skater. We're here, we're spinning. We have 4 arms spinning counterclockwise, and also our arms are spinning. And in this initial stage, our arms are fully lengthened and they're spinning extremely fast. And as we progress through the dance, through the spin, our arms are going to draw in, and the rate at which they spin is going to decrease, so that at the end of the cycle, our arms are fully drawn in, and the rate at which they are spinning is minimal, has decreased. The centripetal condition is at its minimal state. Okay, I might be mixing this up. Here, on the longitudinal view, we are at our minimal state. And as we draw our arms in, we are going to longitudinally charge up and spin up faster, such that by the end of the dance, we are at this maximum centripetal longitudinal expansion, centripetally maximal, centrifugally maximal, and here we are centripetally minimal and centrifugally minimal. Okay? So this, like, even they say here, this is difficult to explain. Yes, this is difficult to explain. And really, what I would like to do, and maybe at a future point I can explain this better, really becoming this movement, by becoming this in skiing we call it the calm, the center of mass. Really to become the center of mass and to imagine here as a quadruped now, you have with 4 arms, right? 4 arms spinning. And how the contraction of the arms spinning and the slowing of the arms spinning increases the rate of rotation, and the increasing the rate of rotation elongates the body, and as the body elongates, its longitudinal rotation also reaches a maximal state, and at a certain point there is a reversal, just a snapping back, a reflexive snapping back. But in this system here, which is again what Victor Schauberger is describing with his bioecotechnology, how to foster this eternal cycle within bioecotechnology, and to get the 96% efficiency that nature, will bestow upon those who understand this. And here we see in churches and religion, this shape, like there's a reason for all of this stuff. My ability to fully explain it is not there, but I am seeing. Here's that the egg experiment, and what happens is that at this point is the compression of dematerialization in the biological vacuum, the forward of the river, the left and the right hand needing the piece to completion, and the expansion, the radiative expansion, i.e. life, that which impregnates life, infuses life. Okay. Yeah, The Secret of the Egg Form. I read this article. It's on my channel here. I'm not going to go over it again, but we can see here, I won't read it. We can see here this eternal centripetal centrifugal cycle and the culmination of said cycle. And I do have a little something. The culmination of that cycle is that here. This is the the life, right? The pure energy form. Okay, perhaps in physics, this is what is understood as the quantum of action, the photon. And really the question with E equals mc squared is how is this photon treated? Because here, this energy expression is a whole new, it's like a whole new zodiac of universal potential, right? That is essentially what is generated in the egg, the motion generating form and the form generating motion in this rotating egg form. All right. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? The chicken is materiality. The egg is the spirituality. First requires time. First requires a before and an after, past to present. I think universe is she kind of she's a metaphysician. She's a metaphysician. Now, some people will say she's a witch, right? But I think what happens with this attitude, when you say she's a witch, well, because we're out here, roots, her world. When we find our roots, this is when we get close and begin to commune. This is the longitudinal axis. Here is our relationships. The we. There's this kind of we and this kind of we. And this here is the egg. There, the light turned yellow there. So did the witch come first? Witch, I recognize phonetically the way I say witch. Right, witch. Which came first? Chicken or egg? Or which? Threes. Got a little coffee here with some nutmeg. Been shredding nutmeg into my coffee recently. So this is the compression of dematerialization, the culmination of the compression of dematerialization. Through the eternal centrifugal cycle, what happens in nature is a separation. It's separation. This is like thinking of nuclear physics and the use of centrifuges. Well, this is using centripedans. Okay, and through the predominance of centripedans, we develop this you see here, this teardrop shape. This is the physical firstborn, because nature, like, where does water come from in the universe? Really, like, where does water come from? From this form of motion. form of motion, motion generating form. Form of motion, motion generating form. The microcosm of the macrocosm. To be analyzed or synthesized. Really, like, which way? Which way? And I don't do, like, I'm, not into magic or really any of these things. Recently, I learned some quite bizarre things, like, how people use socks and stuff as, there's some weird things that go on there. One might call them superstitious, and, I'm calling it weird. But everything is a part of nature. And, even the malevolent manipulations out there are a part of nature. But I think what happens when you're really on your axis, when you're really in the axis and rooted with her, like, it's sort of, we are untouchable. We are untouchable. And science, as Walter Russell said, and science said that the future science would blend religion and science. It would be a blend of religion and science, because science would know God. To know God. And Arthur M. Young was a very broad mind and a concentrating man. Broadness, lateral, transverse, and concentrating. Concentrative, longitudinal, the two aspects. And these two aspects working in tandem from an energetic point of view. This is how we mimic pulsation, organic pulsation. And organic pulsation is the life principle. And Victor Schauberger said flip everything upside down, right? Didn't he? So, like, that's sort of what I'm starting to do here. I'm fumbling through things, and, anybody who's patient enough to get this far, I really do. It's very nice of you. Is this a fight or flight, Darwin? Is this a fight or flight? Or do we flip it 180 degrees, an inversion? And is this a fight to flight? A fight to flight? All of nature is flying. All the birds in the Galapagos, why so many birds? Questions of variety and survival of the fittest. Why does nature get better and basically unground herself? Why do birds have this? Why is bird brain to be bird brained? In psychology, we call somebody bird brained, and this is seen as being an insult. But if we flip that 180 degrees, like, birds have true freedom, no passports, go south whenever they want. And the eagle does not fly. The eagle is flown by nature. All of this is being flown. And I'm not going to argue about creationism or get into causality. I think this is a very individual thing, as I had said earlier, and really this individualness and understanding causality, like, sort of the way I see it is why, because, or, just because, just like, why do anything? Why learn pottery? Why read all these books? Just because. Curiosity, right? Curiosity. And curiosity killed the cat, and we all, 9 lives. We have 9 lives. We can, funnily enough, we can look at Walter Russell here and his 10 octave cycle of the atomic spectrum, and look up the buildup of nature's pottery from the one simple, true dynamic force to the complex world through this gravitational and radiative pendular motion. And this is a breath, an inhalation and an exhalation And this is all these men. Victor Schauberger, he is also, this is just his color, his language. Victor Schauberger's language is water and earth, very much aqua, earth. Walter Russell, his language is light. His language is light. He spoke to light. Who else here? Terence McKenna, Invisible Landscape. Terence McKenna, his language was also consciousness, light, through earth, through hallucinogenic experience, right? Through the hallucinogenic experience, through the soma, the the death cap mushroom, this old shamanic experience. And I think this discovering of one's inner shaman, one's inner longitudinal axis, and the word axis, like AXIS and ACCESS, right? Axis, really, this is our key, the key to Mother Nature. She will allow us to open the door and not necessarily that we get to see to a degree, to see the inner workings in her inner sanctum. And Terence McKenna explored this with DMT and Wilhelm Reich. Wilhelm Reich, again, on the consciousness level, from the psychological point of view, student of Freud, again exploring these same ideas, all these men, all these ideas, Einstein. It's all a symphony of thought and expression. And I do believe there's sort of a culmination, the melding of the chalice and the blade through the bioeco-technological age. Perhaps right now we are in we think musically, we're at that third movement, and it's intense. But here in the universe, the alpha becomes the omega. As a top is spinning through space, it will flip. The top will flip. The eraser will become the graphite, will become the pencil. And this is like how nature is creating and decreating and creating and decreating. This here musically, we can look at double spiral flow and think musically. Here in the center, the cold cathode, the Moonlight Sonata, first movement, the stillness. And at the same time of there being a stillness, there's a light speed, soft gentleness. Here, the weakest finger on the hand, the pinky is playing the strongest part of the piece. And this is nature is basically this. We can think about how spirituality is the foundation of, or the energetic world, the quantum world as well is another way to think about it. Because all of these things are, the way I think about quantum, all the different things in quantum, this is like all the different moves in skateboarding, and we have all these different combinations and permutations, and so does nature's forces, has all these different combinations and permutations that can be danced into the world, danced into materiality. And here, thinking musically, we have movements. We have an interface zone. We have the cold cathode and the chaos of the third movement, and the interface, the flower between the abyss, the second movement of this three-part sonata. And this is a sonata here. Third movement, chaotic double spiral flow. Really heat generating, presto, adagio. Here, slow, almost like a funeral march. Almost like, some people say is like a funeral march. 4/4 time, 4/4 time. The waltz here, a dance now. a symphonic dance. This crisp, precise chaos, if you listen to Glenn Gould play the third movement, and the slow, subtle softness of the first movement, and the pinky playing the strength, the spiritual love being the foundation, this most subtle of things, this most the littlest of things is the greatest of things. And when one plays that piece, their pinky is really holding and supporting the entire piece. So this is again, may seem it's maybe not a very well formed explanation, but I do see how we can look at the energetic dynamics of one of Beethoven's pieces of music here, these three pieces of music, and see through experience on the piano, one, and learning the energetic dynamics of each piece, we can make these functionalistic correlations and bridge the gap through these functionalistic correlations. I think this is how we become our own creative geniuses. All right. I think this will be it. Superorganisms. Here's another way to bridge this gap here and think in terms of a flowing plasmoidic superorganism. That's another way